the Austrian state of Tyrol, just outside the city of Innsbruck, is the 2.1 kilometer long Wattensring circuit. Teams from the World Endurance Championship as well as the IMSA Championship are going to take part today in the Pirtek Grand Prix. 33 cars and 66 drivers make up the three categories of racing that we will see today. And before they go green, here's how they will line up today with the starting grid. Leading off the field is the Sport Prototype class with the Toyota of Sebastian Buemi and Kamui Kobayashi lined up alongside the Chip Ganassi racing car of Andy Prix and Alexander Wirtz. The Brumos Porsche of Timo Bernhard and Mark Webber is in third, and the Audi of Lucas de Grassi and Oliver Jarvis in fourth. The Peugeot of Davison and Montagny is in fifth, lined up alongside the Michael Shank racing car of Oz Negri and John Pugh. The second Chip Ganassi racing car of Jamie McMurray and Scott Dixon lines up seventh alongside the Champion Racing Audi of Lauderer and JJ Leto. The AMR Eastern Europe entry of Jan Charuz and Stefan Mucka is in ninth, and the Gainesville Bob Stallings entry of Fogarty and Johnson is in 10th. The Delta Wing of Kathleen Legg and Sean Rahal is in 11th, and 12th is the Orica Peugeot of Panis and Duval. 13th, rounding out the category, is Dempsey and Donahue in the Brumos. Starting off the GT category is the Flying Lizard Porsche of Catherine Albuquerque, lined up alongside the first BMW of Lauren Edwards. The first of four Corvettes is in 16th position. Magnussen Garcia lined up alongside their teammate Ricky Taylor and Tommy Milner. The Risi Competizione Ferrari of Vielander and Fisichella is in 18th, and the second Arica car is this of Viper with Beretta and Lamy in 19th. Bill Oberlin and Augusto Farfus in the BMWs line up 20th. The third Corvette of Gavin and Jordan Taylor is in 21st. Fassler and Rockefeller in the final Corvette in 22nd. Rounding out the GT field is the Viper of Kendall and Kumo Whittimer. Starting up the Grand Sport division is the TRG Aston Martin of James Davison and Antonio Perez, alongside the Action Express Corvette of Curran and Dane Cameron. The 26th position is held by the Phoenix Racing Audi R8 of Hassa and Rene Rast, alongside the first Stevenson Camaro of Davis and Liddell. The Volkswagen Scirocco of Hackenberg and Veneta X is in 28th, and the 865 Motorsports Porsche sits 29th. The second Races Group entry sits 30th, and 31st the BMW M3 of Klinsmann and Paltala. The final row is the second Stevenson Camaro of Sed and Vautier, and the Lotus of Sweedler and Townsend Bell. The Audi TT pace car dives to the pit lane. Sebastian Buemi and Andy Prix lead us down for the green. Three cars had to take to the access route to avoid collision in the first chicane as Lauderer makes his way past Oz Negri Jr. as Sebastian Buemi held the lead for lap number 1. As back in GT we have Oliver Gavin making up 2 spots in the final corner. He got by Beretta and Oberlin. Freddie Hunt makes his way past Hackenberg in the first corner as now Christopher Hassa gets by Eric Curran for position. What great racing we're having in the lower categories as now Timo Bernhard makes his way past Lucas de Grassi to move himself back up into third position as the field is now mostly single file up front. But not for long as de Grassi gets up into the marbles. Here comes Davison, they're around. The Peugeot of Davison is backwards as now he takes away. De Grassi needed to make the 3-point turn, almost hit Lucas Lure upon entering the track. That could have been an awful accident. We have yellow in the front stretch. That's Jamie McMurray in the last corner. He got turned around. The rear end housing of his car is on the track. We have a safety car. First one of the day. Let's see what happened. That's Jan Charuz. Oh, he just squeezed him out. The Aston Martin gave McMurray no space. Kathleen Legg also seemed to make some contact with the rear end of the Ganassi car. But the Aston Martin, he just absolutely gave him no space as McMurray let Charuz know that he was not happy upon going into the pits under safety car for some repairs. You see driver changes already being made mostly by the cars that are either further back or involved in accidents. Here you see Scott Dixon is now behind the wheel instead of Jamie McMurray. Townsend Bell is now rounding out the field. Well, he was rounding out the field until Jan Charuz was given a penalty for causing that collision. However, the stewards deemed no further action needed to be taken for the accident between de Grassi and the Audi and Davison and the Peugeot. They deemed it was a racing accident, which really, that chicane's way too tight for 2 cars, so you can understand why the stewards would believe that's a racing accident. Now the class leaders are the pole sitters from we saw earlier, Buemi, Kaffer, and Davidson. 7 driver changes have been completed and 1 penalty has been handed out. Now back to racing on lap 6 with Buemi leading 3 wide in the back between the Delta Wing, the Gainska car, and the Shank Racing car. Catherine Legg and the Delta Wing going to make up 3 positions on that brave move, as now Alexander Wirtz is going to take over the Ganassi car. The Corvette's coming in as well. We have trouble. Ricky Taylor and Tommy Kendall hard into the tire barriers right before the final chicane. Here's the replay. It looked like Kendall just didn't give Ricky Taylor enough room. That leads, of course, to a safety car. Kendall was able to get the car refired, but once he came into the pit lane for repairs and gave it over to Kumo Whittimer, the Viper had a broken rear axle. He was just fishtailing all over the place, had to retire the car, as did Ricky Taylor. Tommy Miller did not even get to see track time. Jimmy Johnson got into the Gainsco car, but with an electrical failure, he did not even make it a lap around. So now everyone has done their driver changes. Now the leads: Alexander Wirtz in the lead of the Sport Prototype class, Antonio Garcia in the lead of the GT class, and Perez in the TRG in the lead of the Grand Sport class. Here we go for the restart. Lap number 8. Wirtz spun the tires, is causing a big mess in the back. The Toyota of Kobayashi hit the tire barrier, and now we have trouble around Marcus Paltela and Pedro Lamy. Nose to nose on the track after it looked like the Turner M3 got hit by the Peugeot of Frank Montagny. Obviously with the faster cars in the back, they're trying to get ahead. Here's Wirtz spinning the tires on the start, which really caused this whole mess to begin. He pushes the Toyota of Kamui Kobayashi into the tire barrier, and then in the back you can see the Peugeot of Montagny get into the back of the M3, and all of a sudden here comes Pedro Lamy. Marcus Bartela is right there, and sadly with front end damage on both cars, they are out of the race. We now have 5 retirements on the race. Penalties were handed out for advancing position while extending track limits. Dane Cameron and Frank Montagny. Obviously Montagny caused that accident. He cut across the track and made up positions. Mark Webber is now in the lead of the field next to Sean Rahal on the restart, but JJ Leto gets right by Rahal on the restart. Now he has his eyes set on Mark Webber. In the GT division, Antonio Garcia and Jordan Taylor are 1-2 for a Corvette, as Kobayashi and Wirtz make their way past Luke Duval, and some of the prototypes in the back are making their way past the GT cars. Barry King making his way past Robin de Liddell. He's now up to second in Grand Sport. Now battle for the lead in Sport Prototype. Here comes JJ Leto underneath Mark Webber. JJ Leto up into the lead in the Champion Racing Audi. Now a look at Grand Sport. John Edwards makes his way past as Vanina X dives underneath Tristan Vautier. They're both into the wall on the final corner. Oh, they're not going to move. It's a safety car. We have a safety car with 2 laps to go. That means the race is going to end behind the Audi TT safety car. Here is the pass for the lead in Sport Prototype. JJ Leto does the crossover on Mark Webber down the front straightaway. That is going to be the pass for the win. And now here's Vanina X. She tries doing what Oliver Gavin did earlier in the race, but Tristan Vautier already into the corner committed. That just caused that accident to occur. Sad way to end the race, but Champion Racing gets the win overall at the Pirtek Grand Prix. Corvette Racing in the GT class gets a 1-2 with a number 3 and 4 cars, as TRG Aston Martin wins the Grand Sport category. So here are the results, some notables. The Delta Wing Nissan of Catherine Legg and Sean Rahal ended up getting 3rd. Chip Ganassi Racing got 6th and 9th with their 2 cars. Of course, Jamie McMurray was in that accident earlier. The 2 Corvettes of Magnussen, Garcia, Gavin, and Jordan Taylor got the top 2 in the GT classes. Here are the Grand Sport finishers. We got TRG 865 Stevenson, Alex Schaub, and the other TRG Porsche rounding out the top 5 in that class with the 7 DNFers. So here's a look at your winners. The TRG Aston Martin racing car of Davison and Perez. They led every lap. They put on a dominant performance today. Not so easy of a ride for Magnussen and Garcia, but they took their Corvette number 3 to the front with the number 4 car right behind. and Champion Racing Audi with Lauderer and Leto, of course, that 2 lap to go pass by JJ Leto on Mark Webber. What a way to end the day. Well, that has been the Pirtek Grand Prix for the 865 channels. I am Luke Marcheski. So long, everybody.